Hello. Welcome. It's been a while, guys. I feel like I haven't been talking to you guys for ages. I feel like it's been a while. So, welcome. When you are joining here, drop in the comments. Hashtag I'm here, and I can say hello. I can say, hey, hi, what's up? Hey, Sam. Oh, there we go. That's it. It says like no one's watching, but I've got comments, and now the number's updated. So here comes Cam with my cup of tea and a square of dark chocolate. Hey, Teresa. Real late today because our body clock is everywhere. Right now here, on my laptop, it says 8:20. In real life, 9:20. So now we're 2 hours ahead of the UK, which we didn't know until today. Hey, Kyra. Hey, Jenna. Hey, Facebook user. Hope this is. Hi. Sorry, now you're just going to watch me eat this chocolate. Hello. When you're here, guys, when you're commenting, put your name next to it because we can't see. Hey, Grace. Check my new cup, everybody. It is a giant cup. Look at this. My giant head. Okay, so today, we're gonna settle back in to our lives with a really simple topic, which is set point theory.
Yeah, Rachel asked about it
Rachel last week, actually. Rachel A. There she is. Hello. This is just for you, Rachel, and for everyone else watching, of course, but Rachel asked about it, so we're going to dive into it. So Cam and I had a conversation a few weeks ago about it, very, very briefly. So we're going to have like a little discussion. Cam has made notes. I'm going to play devil's advocate, I think, wear the black hat and see what happens. And we'll just have a conversation about it, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's, because Cam's made notes and I haven't read them. So, what is set point theory, Cam? I feel like no one's here about it. Is it? I think it's like fairly new. Do you reckon?
No.
Oh, I've heard about it more recently than like.
It's been around for quite a while, like.
But new, like on the scene, if you know what I mean, like more.
I just find
common.
It's people like Rachel find it. It's
bloody Rachel.
They go down like rabbit holes and they'll hear it and then she'll go down another rabbit hole. It depends how far into nutrition you look.
Yeah, I saw something about the other day as well. That's what I meant. Like, is it more like common now? Because I'm seeing it.
I know the most recent study on it has been like in 2021, but I don't know how well that's released out to the public.
Yeah. Okay. So what is it then?
So it's essentially people say it's a set point the body has of where it like defends its weight. So it always likes to sit in a certain weight range. So people are like, I always return back to the same weight no matter what I do. It generally works in like they've lost weight and then they'll go back to a certain weight. I don't know. So say you always sit at like 81, 80, 83 kilos, you'll lose loads of weight and then suddenly it creeps back on and the body's like defending it and doesn't want to be that low because it doesn't feel comfortable or I don't really know how you'd say it. The body doesn't like it or safe.
Yeah.
So it slowly returns you back to that.
Okay.
And then it should technically, if it works that way, it should work the other way.
Hey, Holly. Cam's just like going into it already. I just asked what it was. You don't need to don't give too much away. Okay. Because this live will be 5 minutes otherwise, because you'll just be like, here it is, there's the answer. And everyone will be like, oh, well, now what are we going to do for the next 45 minutes, Cam?
Well, it's 30 minutes.
You have to sit and entertain them with the song. Okay, so the body is saying, or the theory is, that it doesn't matter what you do. If you lose weight or gain weight, your body will automatically shift back into a rough range. You know, guys, you're like, I'm always between 140 and 143, or I'm always between 160 and 163, or 142 and 149, something like that. We've always got this range. It doesn't matter if you lose weight, you always come back to it. If you gain weight, you lose weight, and you get stuck in this kind of thing. Who resonates with that? Who thinks that they're always sitting in around the same kind of spot? Doesn't matter if they lose weight, they come back to it. Or if they gain weight and they lose weight, they come back to it, but they can never kind of shift out of this zone. They're like, I cannot lose this last 10 pounds, or I'm always gaining and losing the same 10 pounds over and over and over. I'm like that, I think, because I got to like 128 before the shoot, and now I'm sitting at 137, 135, something like that. I feel like I'm always between like 135 and 145. That's my like range. But the question is it set point theory? Is it because my body is in a defense mode and it wants me to be like, no, you have to be like 140, Faye, because you're this tall and this age and this active. So 140 is like the safe zone for me. Maybe. Let's dive into it.
Let's dive in. So yeah, I guess it depends where we want to start. But essentially, it's much more
nuanced.
Yeah, it's much more deeper than that, than rather saying that's just my set point theory. There's so many things at play, like people's hormones change over the years, like over years and decades. People's like muscle mass changes over the years and over decades.
Yeah.
People's habitual habits change
over
the years, and so what they've had from like childhood coming up to it, what they do in their 20s can live completely different to what they do in their 30s, generally because of the time you have, even down to like obviously the stress that you have has a massive level on it, to even how much money you have or how much freedom you have, and then usually extra stress and less time usually.
Yeah.
So there's big changes that continually go on in people's lives.
Yeah. People always say to me like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to be like 140 again. And I'll say, when we lost 140 or whatever. And they'll say, oh, about 15 years ago. And I'm like, okay, well, what's changed between 15 years ago now? And they're like, obviously they're older, like, you know, from 30 to 45, for example. I've had kids, I've changed jobs. Me and my husband have, you know, we've moved. I've got more responsibilities. I've gone up in jobs or wherever. I commute more, got more stress. So, and you know, 45, probably thinking about perimenopause at this point as well, maybe even menopause. So people that are 45 think that they want to be back where they were, you know, when they were 30, and think that they can just get there because they did this once, but it's a completely different life. So we need to come out of that like frame where we're like, oh, I did this before, it worked for me, or I want to be there because I was there before. Because now your life is different. You're a different person. Women are different people every single day of the month. Men are pretty basic. They're like this all the time. But us, ladies, we are different people every single day of the month. So you can't compare yourself and be like, well, this worked before, or I should be this because of this. So let's, let's think about the changes in our lives and where the set point theory has an effect on it, or the other way around. 3 times a day sounds a different person 3 times a day.
Yeah, so the biggest thing where it sounds like it could be right is where it promotes like weight gain or to regain weight. So once people have lost weight, there's a thing called the metabolic adaptation, where your body starts to adapt to what you consistently eat, your calories, your movement, because this is its new norm, this is its new average. It always wants to adapt just to make its own life easier, as the body just wants homeostasis and just to be comfortable, I guess is the easiest way to put it. So the body starts to decrease energy expenditure, so it makes you move less, it makes you fidget less. Like that's when people are like, oh, I feel less motivated because it's got less energy, so it's going to want to move less. So less fidgeting, less moving, so it starts to preserve more movement, so you start to burn less. But if you carry on eating the same, then you start to obviously you drift back up in weight gain again, not instantly but over time. So that's one way the body could be setting itself.
Can we just touch on that a little bit, because I think some people won't understand what you just meant by that. So if you are burning 2,000 calories a day, let's just throw that number out there, and you're eating 2,500 calories a day. 1,500 calories a day. So you're burning 2,000, you're eating 1,500, for example. That means you're in a 500 calorie deficit. If you carried on eating 1,500, but you moved less, you would burn less calories. So say you now burn 1,800 calories, then your deficit is smaller, okay? And if your movement decreases to maybe now you only burn 1,200 calories a day, now you're overeating. Even though you haven't eaten any more, you're fidgeting less, you're moving less, all of that kind of stuff, you're burning less calories. So now you're in a surplus, so you're going to gain weight back. I found I fidget more since I've got more energy. Yes, exactly, Vicky. Exactly.
It just happens in the opposite way.
So you burn more calories then.
So yeah, so the body's trying to make you burn your calories just to lose weight and then potentially regain it. The other things are it increases like leptin, which is your appetite hormone. So if you have a higher appetite, you're going to eat more, so you just don't feel as full or as satisfied. And that's like a second way the body will try to get you to regain weight or to equal itself out. So there are like two ways people will say, like, this is why set point theory is true, because the body will get you to regain weight. So that's usually, so it does do that in a sense. It doesn't want to be losing weight. Like a calorie deficit isn't something the body likes, but I don't think it's trying to do it to get to a certain number or a range. It's just, that's what it will naturally do to preserve body fat, like when it comes back to caveman days.
Yeah. And if you think about it, like when it comes to money, people do the same. So if you have more money coming in, you've had a raise or a bonus, or your partner's, joined in, contributing, wherever, you've got more money, so you're going to spend more, right? It's maybe you'll save some, but generally you're like, oh yeah, should we go out for dinner, or should we get this? So yeah, I'll get a new dress, or whatever it's going to be. If you know that maybe your partner is a builder or something, and winter's come in, so he works less or she works less, whatever it's going to be, then you've got less money coming in. So you have to budget accordingly. Now you're not going to buy the clothes. Now you're going to cook at home instead. So you kind of budget, so you're at this homeostasis where you're not in debt, or you're not going into debt kind of thing. So the body does that with calories as well.
That's it. So they say if it works that way, if it works like the body will try to get you to regain weight once you've lost weight, why doesn't it work the other way? Why is it so easy to gain fat and then just keep gaining it? And why does the body not have mechanisms now to prevent or slow down obesity? If set point theory was 100% true, I don't think we'd have such high obesity rates. Whereas if you went into like starvation, like famine, the body has a regulation of, like we've just said, it gets you to move more, gets you to move less, it will increase your appetite, so you go looking for food more. But if we did it the opposite way, with us eating like all these types of high calorie dense foods, it doesn't stop us from overeating. Really, there's no, I don't think there's any like mechanisms that would stop us. So obviously we get full.
Yeah, I was gonna say there are, but we ignore them.
Yeah.
Like bloating, overeating, all of those kinds of things. Even things like if you get like bad skin, if you get like start to get spots or breakouts or whatever, we know that bloating, things like that, they affect us in a negative way. So our body's saying you should eat less of this. And we're like, nah. I still want to eat the chips. So the body does, I think, have those kinds of signals, but we ignore them, essentially.
Yeah. So essentially they say like our bodies haven't evolved to what we live now with the amount of food that we have, and the amount
quick, isn't it?
And the rate that people can gain weight now. Right. Yeah. It's easy to have 3,000 calories in a day.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously in caveman days, to have 3,000 calories, it would have been
luxury.
Yeah.
Just killed a cow.
It would have been hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's one of them.
I think people would like to believe that this is a true theory, though.
Yeah.
Because they'd be like, oh, this was just my set point theory.
And then we'll go, that's why I always lose it and then regain it. or something like that. And I think people deep down know the reason why.
Do we want to admit it though?
But they won't admit it. There's reasons people default back. And I guess the quick way to say it is just like fad diets. Like they'll do things way too quickly. They'll do things that they can't sustain for the next year. So if you do a diet that you can only sustain for 3 months, but it gets you to lose 10 kilos and 10 kilos of body fat and you look amazing. But then what's going to happen? You're going to resort back to your old
habitual habits.
So you go back to your set point weight. So you've really just got a set of habits that are going to keep you to where you are. And those habits will probably have that similar amount of calorie intake and calorie outtake of like, you'll eat the similar foods, you'll move similar amounts across half a year. So you would generally stay at a similar weight. So whenever you do things out of the ordinary of overeating, undereating, obviously you start to lose weight, gain weight, and then people don't stick to these new habits. They slowly go back to their habitual habits, and guess what? You go back to the old weight you used to be because that's what you used to do. So I guess that's it. And other things that have been mentioned of why people have problems with the set point theory is they'll say, so these are like habits, I guess. People often gain weight after marriage. So this will be good. Why is that? Why would people gain weight after marriage? Lots of reasons.
I know two in particular. The first one is you eat more. You eat more because you're more comfortable. You don't need to like stay in shape. You don't need to diet. You're like, yes, just give me the steak or the pizza. That's important. And it's not necessarily marriage. I don't think. Sometimes it's like just being in a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And the second thing is you have less sex. So you're less active. So you burn less calories. There we go. You eat more and you burn less. That's what happens when you get married.
What else to say?
Do you know, is that the right reason?
No, this is just generations of categories of people that gain weight. But if this theory was true, they wouldn't, or they would always return back to their set point weight, but they don't.
No.
So children who watch a lot of television are more likely to become obese.
Because they're sat there.
So this generation is obviously within kids and teenagers higher obesity levels, just because of generally inactivity and more ease of like higher calorie dense foods like takeaways, McDonald's. Easiest thing we could say that we're seeing firsthand is traveling so much. If you walk around the UK, like the main cities, you're going to find every type of fast food pretty much everywhere you look. Like you'll find all the types of burgers, all the types of this,
pizzas,
that, Subways, all of this. But we come to places like Montenegro, we come to places like Albania. Generally, we'll just say it straight, you do not see as many fat people walking around, like overweight people. You just don't see it. Everyone's sort of average build, you could say. And it doesn't look like they are. One, you could say because of poverty, money levels and jobs. But two is they literally hardly have any fast food restaurants. They have whereas Macedonia has Burger King and then that's it. You don't see any McDonald's, any Subways. Maybe they have KFC, but in a very big posh shopping mall. But straight away that just sets like the culture where people just don't overeat because it's not available.
And also I know we're slightly going off tangent here, but there's not as many cars. People do a lot more like even electric scooting burns more calories than driving. So electric scooting, lots of people walk everywhere. There's less people drive essentially, don't they? There's like, even in this apartment building, there's no lift. Like we had to lug up our suitcases yesterday up 2 flights of stairs. So there's those kinds of things that our bodies are used to from an evolution point of view. And the technology and basically the technology and innovations have gone so quickly that our bodies haven't evolved to move this little. Like if you're in McDonald's now, you don't even have to drive to go and get it. You just get delivered. So the movement that we do is decreasing. So again, even if you eat the same amount of calories, you're moving less and less. And you're like, oh, it's a half a pound this week. nothing next week. I gained £1 the week after, another £0.5, wherever. That's going to massively, add up over the year, isn't it? So our bodies are not used to moving as little as we do, and they're not used to eating as much shit as we do, basically.
Pretty much. And then its last one is in Western countries, less affluent people have higher levels of obesity.
Yes. So we had a brief conversation about this yesterday, didn't we? So I'm going to make a generalization and assumption here. So you guys, apologies if this offends anybody, but we noticed yesterday when we were in the Midlands and more north. So we were in where were we? Sheffield, Manchester, around by Manchester, and then Leeds. We noticed more people were overweight than if you're in London or even South Wales, basically. So I'm assuming this is the economy. I'm assuming, but also I know that up north they love hearty meals, don't they? They love a pie. Everyone's obsessed with pasties up there. Everyone loves a pasty, or steak bake or Greggs. Everyone's like, oh, do you want a Greggs before we go? Everyone loves those big old meals, homely meals. So they're gonna have more calories as well. So that's nothing to do with money, but
yeah, and obviously shit food is definitely way more accessible and cheaper. Yeah. You can definitely still eat good food on a cheaper budget, but it's just harder to know on how to make it.
And if you think about it, when you're in certain places, certain cities, if you go, we're in Leeds, right? So when we're in Leeds, we didn't look, but I'm assuming there's not a ton of sushi places or fresh salad places, but there's going to be loads of fish and chip shops. We passed loads of fish and chip shops, didn't we? But if you go to London, I'm sure that there's loads of sushi, lots of poke bowls, those kinds of things that are more accessible to people, but then they've got a better economy, essentially, haven't they? And they've got more money. They do. I think people in London do a lot of walking as well because of the tubes here and there. So, yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of topics you could talk about that sort of disprove a set point theory that why for it to actually be something, you'd have to work both ways. So it's not really a thing. There have been studies on it, but there's no full conclusive evidence, where I think, as they say, it's so hard to track people and their habits and not have them live in a lab. So it's quite a hard thing to
don't live in a lab, do we?
Prove that it is, and some people will argue to disprove it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of those theories that if it was a thing, then why would all those categories of people, countries, and whatever you say it, and why they gain weight and have obesity, if their body would help them pull back weight.
That also says then, college students often gain weight. That's the alcohol and cheap food. That's what it is. But the other thing to think about as well with weight is if you gain muscle, say if I didn't lose any body fat, but gained 10 pounds of muscle, I'd be 10 pounds heavier. But it's very easy to lose that 10 pounds than gain it, isn't it? It's harder to gain 10 pounds of muscle. It's easier to lose 10 pounds of muscle. So it's going to put you back in that, because the metabolism will slow down if you lose muscle. So it's going to throw you back into that overweight category, or, back to that original weight category as well, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Interesting.
So I guess the last one to sort of not disprove it, but just make people think, is when people have weight loss surgery. So obviously they lose huge amounts of weight.
Oh my God, yeah.
Quite a lot of them will often gain a big chunk back. And it just starts to argue if there is a set point theory, what does the body do when it's been forced to lose a big chunk of weight? Does it then lower its set point, or does this person then slowly creep back up to their set point? Is that the reason people have weight loss surgery creep back up? Is because of the set point theory, or is it for other reasons?
That's a really interesting point, actually. Yeah, because a lot of people do gain the weight back, And if we look from our experience, guys, if any of you have had it and want to jump in, then absolutely drop in the comments. But from our experience and the people we've spoken to, when people have weight loss surgery, they often gain it back. The people we speak to gain it back, otherwise they wouldn't be speaking to us, would they? So they gain it back, and 90% of them, I would say, or more, will say it's because they don't understand food. They don't understand nutrition. They just like took this fat out, didn't do anything with, sometimes they cut the stomach and whatever and make it smaller. But generally, they just still don't understand nutrition. Now they can't eat any more than 500 calories or wherever it is.
Can't handle.
Yeah, which you need to be able to improve your metabolism, to build muscles to improve your metabolism. So they're kind of really stuck. So if anyone's considering having weight loss surgery, please make it a very, 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 very last resort, because we've got clients or we speak to people and it is a hard hole to get out of, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, they come back to what you said earlier on. It's the habits. People that don't have the tummy, what's it called? The
tummy tuck?
Not tummy tuck.
Snip?
No. Oh my God, my brain is... 9:30 is too late to do a live. When they cut part of the stomach out in surgery. Anyway, whatever. Gastric sleeve, thank you. If they don't have that, if they just have the band, for example, the band can like come back on it and you can carry on eating and it comes back out, because the habits of that person haven't changed. They are still the same person as before. They still got the same habits. They still got the same food preferences. They've still got the same relationship with food. They still got eyes bigger than their belly, that kind of thing. Whereas if you didn't have any surgery and you learned how to eat what you want and still lose weight, how to manage food, how to have that relationship with food, relationship with yourself, relationship with exercise, if you can improve all of those things and change your habits, if you change habits, you become someone else. Okay, if you change it for long enough, you change completely as a person, and ideally as a better version of you. So that is what's going to help you change long term, not like a temporary surgery. It's the habits. It's the habitual habits, Cam.
You love that word, don't you?
Well, it's just ironic they use them together.
Why?
What do you think habitual means? Habit, you all. It's a habit. Habitual habits.
Long term. Ingrained.
Anyway, there we go, guys. That is... Rachel, has that helped? Rachel's probably fighting her child, Andrew.
I just can't not but think of an adult when I hear the word Andrew.
The name.
So when she's like fighting Andrew, I'm just thinking she's fighting an adult.
Just a child. There we go. I think people would love for it to be true, because then they don't have to take responsibility. They'd be like, oh, it's just my set point. It's like, no, love. You're just eating shit.
You've gone back to your old habits.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the quickest way to say it.
Exactly. No worries, Grace. It's like metabolism, isn't it? People are like, oh, it's my metabolism. It's like, is it though?
Is it though?
Is it though? Let's be honest, is it though? There we go. So, change your habits, change your life. Should be a little motto at the end of our episodes.
Could be, couldn't it?
Could be. So, guys, that is it for today. We're going to keep it short and sweet. Does anyone have any questions before we head off? The times I've lost weight and then gained it back is because an old habit has come back. Yep. And because you got married, didn't it, Rachel? Yeah. I suppose, I wonder whether, I reckon this will come down to, this is going to touch a nerve for some people, with how active you are as a mum, or how quote unquote good you are, good in thing as a mum, being able to like run around with your kids. Because I bet Rachel has probably, I know she's on our program anyway, but I think she's probably lost weight from running around after Andrew than a mum that doesn't run around after their kids. Do you know what I mean? So does having kids make you heavier or make you lose weight?
Just Depends on their habits, doesn't it? What type
Exactly.
of person were they before?
Yeah. What are they eating? Are they married? That's it then. That is it. I say both. She says both.
I think some days it's definitely let them do what they want. Let them do what they want. He'll work it out. And then some days it's like, I'm going to get him.
Yeah. It depends on his sleep, probably. Well, there we go, guys. On Wednesday, we got a topic on Wednesday?
No.
What?
Uh,
Because you talked about legs the other day, didn't you? Last Wednesday?
yeah, we've done legs.
We've done legs. We'll think of a topic. Some days you just need chocolate. Absolutely. Me looking after my child as well. Some days that's exactly what I need. Okay, guys, if you need anything, let us know. Let us know if you want anything covered in the comments or as a post, and we will cover that for you. Otherwise, have a fantastic week, and we'll speak to you soon.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.